True Crime Documentary 2025. The Vanishing Hour. The sirens cut through the damp October night like blades, bouncing off the narrow brick alleys of Baltimore's Old Harbor District. Red and blue lights strobed against rain-slicked cobblestones, washing over the huddled crowd of onlookers gathered behind police tape. At the center of the chaos stood an abandoned black sedan with the driver's door still swinging open, its headlights casting eerie cones of light across the mist. The car engine was running, but the driver was nowhere to be seen. Detective Erin Mallory pushed past uniformed officers, her eyes fixed on the scene. "What do we have?" she demanded, shaking off her trench coat hood. Officer Grant, pale under the flashing lights, pointed at the vehicle. "Registered to Michael Reese. 36 years old. No sign of him. Wallet, phone, and jacket still inside." That was the first thing that didn't make sense. Nobody left their phone behind in 2025. Not unless they were forced to. The sedan's interior told a silent story. The driver's seatbelt hung loose as if unbuckled mid-motion. A coffee cup was spilled across the passenger floor. And in the back seat, a single white rose wrapped in tissue paper. Fresh. Mallory bent closer. "Where's the traffic cam footage?" Grant shook his head. "We pulled the feed. 2 minutes before this car appeared here, the cameras went black. Somebody cut the system." The crowd behind the tape buzzed with speculation. Some swore they heard a struggle, others said they saw a man in a hoodie run into the shadows. But no one could agree. Mallory's gut told her this wasn't a random disappearance. It was staged. And the rose? That was a signature. The next morning, the Reese family home sat in eerie silence. Suburban neatness, trimmed hedges, Halloween decorations still glowing faintly in the daylight, contrasted sharply with the tension inside. Michael's wife, Anna, sat clutching a photo frame, her face pale, her voice trembling. "He was supposed to be home by 8, she whispered. "He texted me, he said he was picking up something special for me. And then nothing." "What about enemies? Anyone holding a grudge?" Mallory asked gently. Anna shook her head. He's quiet. Works in finance. Keeps to himself. No gambling, no drinking. Just work and family." Sounded too perfect. Mallory knew better than to trust surface stories. As they spoke, a uniform officer entered holding an envelope sealed in plastic. "Detective, this was found in the family's mailbox this morning." Inside was a typed note on plain white paper. "The rose is never given freely. Some debts must be paid in silence." Mallory's stomach turned cold. This wasn't a kidnapping, it was a message. Over the next 48 hours, the case deepened like quicksand. Michael's colleagues described him as ambitious, but there were whispers of questionable investments. One coworker, reluctant to talk, admitted he had been in heated arguments with clients who weren't part of any official portfolio. By the third day, Mallory's team traced Reese's last known movement. Security footage from a gas station 6 miles from where his car was found showed him at 7:43 p.m., buying coffee. His face looked tense, distracted. And behind him in line stood a man in a gray hoodie, face obscured, head tilted slightly toward Reese. The timestamp was precise. 2 minutes later, the traffic cameras died. Somebody was shadowing him, Mallory muttered. And they knew how to kill the surveillance. Then came the first real breakthrough. Forensics pulled a partial fingerprint from the white rose's tissue paper. It matched a name in the system, Darius Cole. Mallory's chest tightened at the recognition. Cole wasn't just another criminal. He was a ghost from Baltimore's underworld, an enforcer linked to at least 5 disappearances in the last decade, but never charged. Witnesses clammed up when his name surfaced. Bodies were found, but nothing ever tied him directly. And now his print was on Michael Reese's rose. "Cole doesn't leave prints unless he wants us to find them," Mallory said grimly. The question was why. That night, a call rattled the precinct. A jogger in Patterson Park had found something. Mallory rushed there, boots crunching over fallen leaves as floodlights bathed the park in harsh light. At the base of a statue, half buried under damp soil, lay Michael Reese's wristwatch, its glass face cracked, its leather strap stiff with dried blood. Taped to the underside was another note. "You're looking in the wrong direction. The rose is only the beginning." The park was less than 2 miles from Reese's office. Mallory studied the statue above them, a forgotten bronze monument of a Civil War general. It wasn't just random placement. Cole was leaving breadcrumbs. The detective's phone buzzed before she could think further. It was forensics again. "Detective Mallory? You'll want to come back." We pulled deleted files from Reese's laptop. Encrypted spreadsheets. Offshore transfers. Millions. Looks like someone was laundering money, and Reese was the middleman. Mallory closed her eyes briefly. The mild-mannered family man wasn't so innocent after all. But the investigation was about to take a darker turn. 2 days later, surveillance picked up Darius Cole himself. He was caught on camera entering a storage facility on the outskirts of the city. Mallory's team swarmed the site. Unit by unit, they forced open steel doors, flashlights cutting through the stale air. Dust and the smell of gasoline clung to everything. And then Unit 47. A heavy padlock broken, hanging loose. Inside, the beam of light froze on the impossible. Rows of roses. White roses. Dozens of them laid out on shelves like trophies, each tagged with a name and a date. Some names were familiar. Unsolved cases, cold files, men and women who had vanished without explanation. And on the far shelf, a vase stood alone. Inside it was a single fresh rose with a tag that read, Anna Reese. Mallory's heart slammed in her chest. Michael Reese wasn't the only target. His wife was next. And somewhere in the shadows of Baltimore, Darius Cole was already one step ahead. The Rose Collector. Detective Erin Mallory stood frozen in the dim storage unit, her flashlight trembling slightly as its beam lingered on the white rose tagged Anna Reese. The silence pressed in, broken only by the muffled shouts of officers combing nearby units. She felt the weight of every unsolved disappearance bearing down on her. This wasn't just about Michael Reese anymore, it was a pattern, a legacy of fear stretching back years. "Get this place sealed off," she barked, snapping out of the haze. "Every rose, every tag photographed and catalogued. And I want a unit on Anna Reese immediately, she's next." But deep inside, Mallory knew it was already too late. Cole didn't leave warnings. He left countdowns. The Reese home was swarming with police by nightfall. Anna was escorted out under tight guard, pale and trembling as she clutched her daughter's hand. Reporters screamed questions over the flashing bulbs of cameras, but she gave no answer. Inside the precinct's safe house, Mallory tried to reassure her. "We're going to keep you safe. I promise." Anna's voice cracked. "Why is this happening? Why me?" Mallory hesitated. The truth was too sharp to blunt, because Michael wasn't who he seemed. 4 days the task force hunted Cole. Surveillance footage caught glimpses of him across the city, always a step ahead, always vanishing before patrols arrived. He seemed to enjoy the chase, taunting them with small signs. A rose left on a squad car windshield, a voicemail with nothing but the sound of scissors snipping. Each gesture tightened the noose around Anna's life, each one reminding Mallory that Cole was watching them as closely as they watched him. The pressure mounted. Reese's encrypted files revealed offshore accounts linked not just to criminals, but to politicians and business leaders. He had been laundering dirty money on a scale that could shake the city's foundations. And if Cole was his enforcer, then who was really pulling the strings? Mallory felt like she was unraveling 2 cases at once: Michael's disappearance and a larger conspiracy hidden in the folds of the roses. The breakthrough came on the 5th night. Analysts traced one of Reese's offshore payments back to a warehouse on the industrial waterfront. Mallory led the raid herself, heart hammering. The warehouse was a tomb of shadows, reeking of oil and salt water. Stacks of crates towered like gravestones. In the center, lit by a single hanging bulb, was a chair. And tied to that chair, beaten, gagged, eyes swollen shut, was Michael Reese. Anna's husband was alive. Mallory ripped the gag free. "Michael, where's Cole?" Michael coughed, blood flecking his lips. You don't understand. I thought I could walk away. I was done with them. But you can't just quit." "Quit what?" Mallory pressed. His eyes flicked toward the shadows. "The roses, they aren't his. They belong to all of them. He's just the messenger." Before Mallory could demand more, a shot rang out. The bulb shattered, plunging the warehouse into chaos. Officers scrambled as muzzle flashes lit the dark. Michael screamed, the chair toppling. And in the brief, violent strobe of gunfire, Mallory saw him, Darius Cole, moving like a ghost, slipping between crates before vanishing into the night. When the smoke cleared, Reese was alive but barely. A bullet had grazed his shoulder. He clutched Mallory's wrist, whispering with what little strength he had. "They'll come for Anna. If you don't give her up, they'll take her anyway." Mallory doubled the guard on Anna. But the sense of inevitability gnawed at her. Cole wasn't just hunting. He was orchestrating. 3 nights later, the safe house alarm blared. Officers found the back door forced open, the lock sliced clean. Anna's daughter was asleep upstairs, untouched. But Anna herself was gone. On the kitchen counter lay a single rose, petals flecked with crimson, and a note written in careful script. One debt paid. One more to go. The city spiraled into panic. News channels plastered Anna's face on every broadcast, labeling her the rose collector's next victim. Anonymous tips flooded the hotline, most useless, some cruel hoaxes. Mallory didn't sleep. Every lead ended in smoke. Every corner of the city felt like a trap. And then, another call. A fisherman down at the harbor had seen a man dragging a woman into the old cannery ruins. Mallory raced there with her team, the ocean wind slicing across the docks. The cannery loomed like a carcass, rusted beams and shattered windows framing the night sky. They breached the doors, flashlights cutting through darkness. And there, center stage, was Anna. Bound to a steel chair, a rose pinned to her chest like a grotesque corsage. Cole stood behind her, calm, almost reverent, his knife glinting under the beams. "Detective Mallory," he drawled, voice smooth as ice. "Always chasing shadows. Did you really think Michael was the victim? He was their banker. He bought his family's safety with blood money. But debts always come due." Mallory raised her weapon. "It ends tonight, Cole." Cole smiled. "No. Tonight it begins." Gunfire erupted. Officers surged forward, shouts echoing off steel walls. Mallory lunged toward Anna, slicing the ropes free as Cole melted into the maze of catwalks above. The chase roared through the ruins, footsteps pounding, bullets sparking off rusted beams. Mallory cornered him on a high platform overlooking the black tide below. Cole's knife flashed, his grin unshaken. "You think you're saving her? She's already marked. They all are. I'm just the reminder." He lunged. The struggle was brutal, desperate. Mallory slammed him against the railing. With one last heave, she sent him crashing over the edge. His scream was swallowed by the waves, his body vanishing into the dark harbor water. Silence. Only the roar of the tide remained. Anna survived. Cole was gone, or so it seemed. The city exhaled, the headlines proclaiming victory. But weeks later, as Mallory sifted through the roses cataloged from the storage unit, something gnawed at her. Among the names and dates, one tag had never been matched to a victim. It was newer, the handwriting slightly different. The tag read, Aaron Mallory. Her breath caught. The rose wasn't Cole's work, it had been planted for her. That night, as she drove home through the rain, a chill ran down her spine. A white rose lay on the passenger seat of her car, fresh dew still clinging to its petals. The case wasn't over. It had only just begun.